Okay, so yeah, I'm Mark Coventry and headshot photographer based in Clacton. Yeah, Junari have just booked in to come and have their headshots done, so nice to meet you, Tony. So I thought I'd start with a little bit about me, but I would suggest if any questions maybe crop up during the presentation, maybe you could just type them into the chat or make a note of them, and if we've got time, we can maybe go through some questions at the end. So a little bit about me. I've got 20 years experience as a professional photographer. Been making a living from it since 2020. Always had it as a hobby. And over those years, I've sort of swatted up and, taught myself bits and pieces, but I've acquired quite a vast knowledge as far as the technical aspects of photography are concerned, and also lighting. I'm a big lighting fan. I light everything I take a picture of pretty much. And having that knowledge has enabled me to get involved with creating images like these. So that's just a brief look at some of the images that I've managed to create over the years. A lot of that obviously is commercial stuff. A couple of dancers in there as well. I really enjoy working with creative people and performers and dancers because you always end up with good shots as long as you can light it correctly. So I've been fully self-employed now for well, almost 4.5 years. Decided to leave my job as a quality and training manager with a photography company where I had 30 photographers that I was responsible for. And decided to come out on my own, build my own business basically. And I've had my studio, which I am in now, for almost 3.5 years. It's quite a nice space, and it's an old mill building. Leslie's been here, Dan's been here, so they know the character of the place. And it's quite nice because it used to be the Bowens factory, and Bowens used to make photographic lighting. So when I was working at my old firm, I've been in and out of the front door of the building no end of times over the years, dropping lights in to be repaired and picking them up when they have been repaired. So it's nice to have a connection to it. And 20 years of experience, I've been photographing people in a variety of situations, whether that's sports or weddings or portraits or whatever. And that's really helped me to improve my people skills as well. And then being now a headshot photographer, that helps me to bring out the best in my clients and produce some high quality headshots for them like these. So I now specialize in headshots for people in business, basically, helping people to create a really strong first impression when people are finding people online. But the main thing is you really need to be getting noticed online, because if you're not getting noticed, then you're fighting a losing battle, really. So why is it so important to invest in a professional headshot? There are a number of reasons, but we all know that people like to buy from people. They sort of like to know who they're doing business with. So businesses that are using a company logo maybe as their profile image, they're probably missing out on some inquiries, because, to be honest, customers don't really care what your logo looks like. They want to know how you're going to be able to help them in business, and they like to know who you are. So the connection with an image of whoever's behind the business is quite important. As I said, people do like to know who they're doing business with before they do business with them. And the first place they're going to go is straight to the profile picture or the about or meet the team pages of your website to check you out, see what you're all about. And, this saying is very true. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So if the first impression they have of you and your business is not a particularly good one, then they will go and you'll never get them back. You know, that it's very hard to change people's opinion of you once they've formed that opinion. So having a professional headshot really, it used to be a luxury. You know, the only people that really needed them were models and actors to send to their agents and get work. But now with everything online, then you know, it's no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. So to back that up a little bit, here are some stats for you. The UK population is somewhere around 67 million people at the moment. And of that, the working population is roughly 34 million. And in the UK, there are approximately 26 million registered LinkedIn accounts, which means that approximately 76% of the UK's working population has got a LinkedIn account. That's quite high. LinkedIn profiles that have a professional headshot will get 21 times more views and approximately 36 times more messages. And obviously those messages could be an inquiry about your business, the service you provide, the product you sell, or whatever. So, you know, who doesn't need 36 times more inquiries? So on LinkedIn, you know, which of these two profiles would be more encouraging to you to actually contact that particular business? We see quite a lot of these. The blank, generic, blue LinkedIn cover image with the lines and the dots and no profile picture. There are a lot out there. So would you contact that person? Or would you prefer to contact that person? It just looks a bit more professional if you optimize your LinkedIn profile, have a cover banner on there. Even if you've got a profile picture, don't leave your cover banners blank as well, because again, it's first impressions. People land on that page, and if they can see that you've taken the time and care enough to optimize the profile, then it stands in good stead, really. And that's obviously just on LinkedIn. We all have various business accounts on other media pages, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and other, you know, Pinterest. There's others. So having a presence on there with a good quality headshot, keep it nice and consistent. People are going to see you pop up all over the place, and they're going to get to know you. And also your websites. Obviously, don't forget the About page or the Meet the Team pages. Have a headshot on there as well, because people, if they find you online and go straight to your website, they will definitely be checking out the About or Meet the Team pages to see what you're all about and who you are. So don't forget those either. So most potential clients' first impressions of us will come from having a look at the headshots that you're using. It's one of the most, I said this earlier, it's one of the most important marketing tools you can have. And ideally, a good headshot should portray you as somebody who is confident but approachable. If you're looking a little bit grumpy, a little bit moody, then it will put some people off from contacting you, and then obviously you're missing out. If you're not sending the right message, then there are plenty of other choices for your potential clients to choose from. And chances are they will hit that back button and move on to somebody else, which then obviously means that you are missing out on the opportunity to convert those people into actual clients rather than just a potential client. And your headshot should really help you to stand out from your competitors as well, and not just blend in with everyone else. If somebody puts a search into LinkedIn and all the search results come up, we all scroll down and have a look at the profile pictures. And if you've got the one that helps them or encourages them to stop scrolling, then that's half the battle. The next point is clicking on it and then finding out more about you. So you do need to stand out. If you're not getting noticed, you're not going to be getting any new business. And, you know, we all know where that ends, really. Now, most people thinking about headshots will, you know, most people when they come to the studio tell me, oh, I hate having my picture taken. And there's not many people in the world who actually enjoy it. It's not a very comfortable place to stand. And this is the view that people get when they come to my studio, or one of the views. This is one of my lighting setups. So choosing the right photographer for you is really important. So a good headshot photographer really should be able to help you relax is the first thing. If you're very uncomfortable, you're going to look rigid, you're going to look uncomfortable. So you need somebody who's, you know you're going to get on with, you're going to have some fun, and they're going to help you to relax. They should be able to use some coaching techniques and give you some tips and tricks that will help you feel confident and look confident, but comfortable as well, and bring out the best in you. And also be able to obtain a natural looking expression, not one that is obviously you trying to smile. You know, it needs to be a natural reaction rather than a conscious expression. And you should also have the opportunity to try different clothing options against different backgrounds as well, to see what really works best for you. Everybody's different. Some people like a nice clean white background. Some people prefer a darker background. But having different clothing options against those, you'll get a really good feel for what works best for you and will fit with your business. So most people look like this when they first stand in front of a camera. The deer in the headlights look a little bit scared, a little bit anxious, a bit concerned about how they might look. So this is Anne, and this is fairly early on in the session, before I've given any coaching or little tips and tricks. And you can see it's just a little bit of a blank expression. I call this a NEFA face, N-E-F-A, non-existent facial activity. There's not a lot going on in there at all. But after coaching, she looks a little bit more approachable and a little friendlier, and you'd be more encouraged maybe to pick the phone up and give her a call than the previous one. And this chap's the same, you know, very uncomfortable when he first stood in there. But with a clothing change and a little bit of coaching, he looks a lot more confident and approachable on his shot as well. So the deer in the headshots look not a good look at all, and you need a photographer who can help you get away from that, basically. So a few things you maybe should consider. If you've made the decision, yeah, okay, I need a new headshot, here's a few little things that you need to consider. Take along at least 4 different clothing options so that you can have a chat with the photographer and decide what you think is going to work best. And keep it simple. Avoid heavy patterns or stripes, because that can be really quite distracting in the shot. If it's drawing the eye away from what it is that you're promoting, which obviously is yourself, then it's not doing the right job. So plain works quite well. Once you've chosen your outfits, day before you're going to the studio, get the iron out, make them nice and clean and crisp. If you're wearing a shirt, try and get a nice, clean, crisp turnover as well. And for women in business, try and avoid off-the-shoulder outfits like this, or very thin straps as well. It's not really the right look for a professional image. And obvious jewelry, I normally advise, should be avoided as well, because it does draw the eye away from what you're promoting. So which do you find less distracting? This shot or this shot? The jewelry's gone, the dangly earrings are gone, the focus is now completely on the face. Heavy makeup, really not the way to go for a business headshot, so avoid that, keep it fairly neutral. Bright red lipstick or heavy eyeshadow like this obviously is not the impression you want to be giving to your potential clients for your business. And on the days leading up to your headshot session, always advise people to drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, and this is going to help you with your complexion on the day as well, and help you to look as good as you can in your new pictures. And the night before, get plenty of rest. Get a good night's sleep and arrive at the studio and the session really fresh and alert, and that's really going to help how you look in your pictures as well. So that's obviously individuals, but a few little tips for team shoots as well. If you're in business and you want to promote the team and let everybody know who your team are, then consistency, excuse me, consistency is extremely important. Some companies allow their employees to use their own images, and that obviously brings all sorts of problems into play, because you'll have selfies and holiday snaps, some professional shots maybe, but the page is going to look very inconsistent. So don't let them supply their own images. Book a headshot specialist to conduct your team shoot. And then if you have any staff members change, new employees come in, then then if you get the same photographer back, your lighting, your backgrounds, and hopefully the whole posture and expressions will match what you already have for your existing team, and it will all match up and look really nice. So a couple of little final words about your headshots. Having fun is always going to bring the most natural expressions. If you're not having fun, it's going to look a little bit fake and forced. So I always try and make people laugh if I can, and then you get the most natural expressions that you're likely to get. And that will help to promote yourself online and encourage more people to actually get in touch with you and make an inquiry about your business. So that's it. That's the end. There's a few of my links there. Thank you very much for listening. And I will stop the share now, hand back to Graham, and maybe answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, whilst you were talking, one of my other professions, my other hats, is I do a bit of counselling. I trained as a counsellor for a couple of years, and one of the things that we look for is this incongruence between what's presented to you in the sessions that we have. So there might be a smiley face, but the words are sad. So there's that kind of incongruence, put it at a very simple level. Do you ever get the feeling that, you know, people may be able to perform for the camera, but actually that's not what they're like, and there might be a mismatch between the image that you've taken and the person behind it?
Yeah, and the answer to that is I coach more in that situation, because if I feel that they're putting it on and it's not really them, when they post that, if they took that and they posted that, people that do know them, when they see that, they're going to say, doesn't look anything like you. That's not you. They haven't captured you. So if I get the sense that that's what's happening, then I become a little bit more of an idiot than I am normally, and say more stupid stuff than I normally say, and just try and get them to relax. Because at the end of the day, whoever is standing in front of the camera, if they're in that mode where they're still being very self-conscious about how they look and they're putting it on, I haven't got to them yet. I haven't got that connection with them yet.
Yeah.
I want to get to a point where they stop thinking about the camera between me and them, and it's just us having a conversation.
Yeah.
So some people do that, and if I know that that's what they're doing and I sense that that's what they're doing, then I keep shooting and I keep coaching until I get to where I feel I'm capturing that person. Yeah. Normally, when people arrive at the studio, we always have a little bit of a chat before. I don't get people in and stand them straight in front of the camera as soon as they arrive. We have a little bit of a chat, ask them how the business is and how things have been for the week or whatever. Have a bit of a conversation with them, because when they're talking to me, they're being themselves. So when they stand in front of a camera, everybody changes. They become a person that's not them. So I then have to get them back to how they were when they were talking to me before the shoot.
Yeah, I think it's great what you're saying, and I've just been thinking whilst you've been talking about a guy whose photograph I saw on LinkedIn, and he's got this pose and he looks like a game show host, and he looks like a bit of a tosser to be honest in this case. I really, you think, oh God, I bet you're full of yourself. And I've now met him a few times at networking meetings in the flesh, and he's one of the nicest, kindest people I've ever met in a business meeting.
Well, that's one of the things. My sessions tend to not be over in a flash. Oh, pardon the pun. I was just having a conversation with Dan. We were in the room together, and he was talking about an experience that he'd had where it was literally like one after the other. In, click, 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 off you go. Next one in, click. And I don't work like that. I'm not one of those photographers. I want to make sure that whoever is there, I can get them to be as relaxed as possible and bring out the best in them and show them as they really are, which is why I like to have a little chat with people before we stand them in front of the camera. So
if they really are a moody, miserable bastard.
Oh, that's not allowed. I don't allow that. Leslie and Dan have both been to the studio. They know what I'm like. I say stupid stuff, and it does help people to relax. And if people are reacting to something that I've said, that is going to be the most natural expression that person is going to have. Yeah. If it looks fake or false, then I haven't done my job.
Well, I look forward to meeting you in October.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be good. We'll have fun.
I'll iron a shirt.
Yeah, iron 4 and bring 4. Don't bring one. One's not, if you only bring one, you're not allowed in.
Christ, four shirts. Thanks, Mark.
Ian, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of answered most of it, I think. But I mean, what would your advice be for someone like me who, frankly, has got a face for radio?
You know, Ian, everybody thinks that they're not photogenic. Everybody, when we see ourselves in a completely different way to how everybody else sees us. You know, we see ourselves in the mirror, and that is a reflection of us. When you see a picture of you, you're looking at it as a person sees you. So you're not used to seeing yourself that way. And immediately you go to the things that you don't like about yourself. You know, some people don't like their nose, some people don't like their ears, or whatever it may be. And whenever you look at a picture of yourself, you go straight to the thing that you don't like and immediately think, don't like that picture. But when other people are looking at it, they don't know that you don't like your nose, your ears, or whatever it might be. They just see you as you, and they see you as you are. So their perception of you is completely different to your perception of yourself. And when people come in, most of the time, their opening lines are something like, I hate having my picture taken. Are you good in Photoshop? And I really don't want to be here, or, you know, stuff like that. But I think, you know, hopefully Dan and Leslie both felt as the session progressed, they relaxed a little bit more than they were when they first arrived. They started to have maybe a little bit more fun. And once we get to the point where my coaching is starting to work and little tips and tricks are starting to work and making you look good, I shoot to my computer so you can see the results as we shoot. So you'll get to a point where the first few, you're going to say, no, don't like that, hate that. But hopefully later in the session, when everything's coming together and you're feeling more confident and comfortable, you start to look at the shots and think, actually, yeah, I really like that. Mm-hmm. So everybody in the world is photogenic, but everybody in the world thinks they're not.
Yeah, but I do look like Michael Gove.
Nothing I can do about that, sorry.
Look.
Brilliant, thank you. Any other questions, anybody?
Yeah, you said, Mark, about it was interesting about the fact that you'd only just sort of left your employment and started up your business 3 years ago. What was it? What was the decision, or what sort of went on in your head to say, right, I've got to get out and do it on my own?
Yeah, I'd been with that company for 16 years. I started as a photographer in 2020 and worked my way up through the ranks to be the senior photographer. And then we had a new manager came in and took over the business and basically transformed the business in 12 months from how it was to how it became. And at that particular time, there was nobody in the business who was sort of responsible for the training and the quality of work that the photographers were producing. And the new manager had a chat with me and said, look, we need to put somebody in place. Are you interested? And I said, yes. So the next 12 months was spent convincing the directors and the board that it was a good idea to have me as part of the management team. They finally gave in and said, yes, go for it. So I was responsible for 30 photographers training and the quality of the work that they were producing for the rest of my time there. So the next sort of 10, 11 years. And during that time, I gradually felt more and more that I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be in business for myself. But it took me 5 years to convince my girlfriend it was a good idea to hand my notice in. So she was of the mind that, no, you can't stop, you can't not work because I don't want to be poor. And over the years, you know, I'd been stashing money away and I'd been shooting weddings at the weekend and doing portraits and headshots at the weekends as well. So I was building the business anyway. And it got to a point where we'd had a few conversations about money and what I was going to do once I was having more time to build the business. And one conversation we had, her mindset flipped completely opposite way. She said, well, hurry up and hand your notice in because I want to be rich. So as soon as she was on side, the resignation letter was written and I had a meeting set up with the manager and he called me into the office and said, oh, hang on a second, I've just got to nip out to my car. I went out and grabbed the white envelope. And when I walked in, he looked at me and he said, I knew this was coming. So I gave him the letter and he said, well, we're sorry to see you go, but you know where we are if it all doesn't work out. And I had a chat with the boss as well. And he I've been there 16 years, and I probably had the best conversation I'd ever had with him in all of that time when I was leaving. And he's actually been to my studio since I've left to ask for advice on lighting and all sorts of stuff. So he's become a much nicer person to talk to when I'm not working for him. So the plan was always to try and build my own business. It took me a long time to get there. And now obviously I don't do weddings anymore. Well, I've got some next year now, because all of this years are now in next year because they've all had to move. But my sole purpose now is to help people in business to promote themselves online in the most professional way they can and attract more customers. So it's gradually building, which is really nice. Lockdown put a little bit of a spanner in the works for me. No income at all for 3 months, but it's gradually building now. People are going back to their offices. I'm getting more inquiries for team shoots now than I have before, which is good, because some teams are now working back at the office rather than remotely. So it's all looking very promising and optimistic. And obviously, being part of groups like this really helps, because it gets to let more people know that I exist and see what I do, which is really good. That was a very long answer to your question, but
no,
you get the idea.
Worked very well. And another question I had was, what's the? It might be an obvious one, but can you suggest a way that is a sort of like a flag to us to say, okay, this particular company, this particular person needs Mark's services? Is it all about having a look at profiles on LinkedIn, or is it something more to it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's profile picture tells a story and sends a message to whoever is looking at that. So if you know people who are in business who are using a profile picture that is an obvious selfie, or it's a holiday snap, or they're holding their cat, or they're in the bar with a pint of beer in their hand, that really is not the message you want to be sending to potential clients. So if you see people in business using that sort of shot, then it's time for them to maybe rethink about how they are promoting themselves online, because they will definitely be missing out on inquiries, because that will put people actually getting in touch with them. Not everybody, some people are maybe not as bothered, but it will definitely put people off. And yeah, anybody who is maybe been unfortunate enough to be made redundant through the COVID crisis and has now made the decision that they want to start their own business, which quite a few people have done. They're at the beginning of their business journey as being self-employed. And they're the sort of people also who will now need images to promote what they do or what they sell online, to help that grow and build as quickly as possible, so that they can get a decent income from it sooner rather than later. So yeah, anybody in business who is using a shot that obviously is not sending the right message, I would love to talk to. Anybody who's just started a business, I would love to talk to. And anybody who is still maybe unemployed through the COVID crisis and is now looking for employment. There are so many applications now for the jobs that are advertised, that when your CV lands on their desk or in their inbox, it needs to stand out from everybody else's and not just go straight into the no pile or into the bin. And one of the best ways to make your CV stand out from everybody else is to have a headshot of yourself on there, so people can see who you are as well as read about you. Some people don't agree with that, but I think, having gone through the process of interviewing new people for photographers in my old job and having to sift through hundreds of CVs, from my perspective, the ones that had the headshots on stood out.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions? In that case, I'll bring the recording to a close.